Now to Barnaby Joyce. I caught up with the Deputy Prime Minister on Queen Palaszczuk, the reopening plan, and the New South Wales leadership mess.
Why don't they ask us to come and vacuum their offices? You know, this is the stuff that they're responsible for. It just goes to show you just how incompetent they are. You know, they're now saying, like, this incompetence is a case that people are struggling to find beds in hospitals before COVID actually turns up. I mean, and now they're somehow saying that their incompetence needs rewarding. I mean, if you can't run your hospitals, here's the solution: get the hell out, go, disappear. You know, you're not a government. You're a joke.
Now, I want to ask you about what's going on in New South Wales at the moment with Paul Toole becoming Nat's leader. And also, can I get your opinion on how good Barilaro was as leader and how important it is that the next one has the ability to rock the boat a bit?
Unpredictability. Yeah, you've got to do that. See, the whole essence of regional politics is the vast majority of the seats are in your Sydney, Melbourne, southeast corner of Queensland. And you've got to have people who, to be heard in regional areas and not to get lumped in with the zeitgeist of what is the urban areas, you've got to be a bit disliked. When the people who live in the middle of town in the nice houses and the comfortable lives think that the National Party person is a redneck, bogan, hick, that usually is a pretty good sign that you're kind of close to the money of where you need to be.
Yeah, I always think the louder you carry on, the closer you are to being over the target.
The worst thing you want them to say, gee, he's good, because what that means is, gee, that person lets us get wherever we want. And gee, that person never causes a problem. And gee, that person never actually stands up for their people. And that's what you don't want.
Which opens the door to the chat about net zero. We all love Matt and we know how passionate he is about that issue. And it's an issue that a lot of coalition voters care deeply about. But tell us about how rocky the fight is going to be between now and Glasgow and the announcement of the government policy.
You know, we just look through the eyes of our constituents. Remember, I'm a farmer, but I represent, even the seat of New England, only 12% of the population, which are farmers. The other 78% are not in the group called not farmers. They're miners, they're labourers. They work in Taminda, they work in the industrial areas, they work at Boss Engineering in Inverell. They're down the Hunter Valley, and these people also, they want to make sure they've got a job, and they want to make sure that you don't go on some frolic that somehow leaves them unemployed. So these are the things you go in to bat for, and they want to make sure that you're not, you're mindful of what's also going on in Europe. You've got to remember, in Europe, you've got an energy crisis. In England, you've got a six-fold increase in the price of power, especially gas, which drives the power price, in the last year. 850,000 people a night losing their energy provider. And the reason they did it is because renewables couldn't fill the void of the power plants that were closing down. So guess what they're doing? They're firing up their coal-fired power plants again at immense cost. And today Boris Johnson's out there saying he's going to build 2 new nuclear power plants or massive new nuclear power plants. Because at the end of the day, it is an equation. If you get the equation wrong, who pays the price? You do.
I just wanted to ask, as someone who has gone through the ringer of everyone having an opinion on your personal life, what did you make of the smear from a lot of the inner city souks that, God forbid, Dominic Perrottet believes in Jesus? These people just don't get that. A lot of people actually do believe in God.
And the other thing they don't get is the further west you go in Sydney, the more prominent that becomes. And when you get into regional areas, the more prominent that becomes. So don't persecute someone because of their faith. See how they manage your state. See if they manage the books. See to make sure that they're building roads in the country and the city. Make sure they build the dams. Make sure, because there's a lot of regulations that the state is responsible for, and we've got to iron them out to get things built. And that's, for me, what I want to work with Dom with. I want to make sure that the Inland Rail gets built, that we're not tied up in regulations chasing skinks and frogs and lizards and bits and pieces of botany through the scrub at Pilliga to try and get the inland rail built, that we make sure we get Dungowan Dam built, that we get these water resources built, to show the people of New South Wales that we're doers, not talkers.